بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the tremendous book by the Fadilatul Shaykh Al-Imam Imam bin Baz Rahimahullahu Ta'ala, the book which is entitled Durus al-Muhimma li'amat al-Ummah, the important lessons for the common Muslim. We are still on the section inside of the Sharh, the explanation of this tremendous book by the Fadilatul Shaykh Sheikh Abdul Razak bin Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad Al-Badr Hafidhahumullahu Ta'ala. We're still on the section dealing with the shurut, the conditions of La ilaha illallah. These conditions are very important because if they are not established, then that which they are conditioned for will not take effect. So for an example, so we can draw a correlation between the establishment of a condition and the establishment of that which it is a condition for, is that the salah has prerequisites, it has conditions. If those conditions are not met, then the salah is not established. So for example, if an individual comes with the salah, but he doesn't have wudu, then his salah doesn't count, right? If he comes with the salah, but the time for that particular prayer has not entered, then that salah does not count, so on and so forth. So it is incumbent for a thing to be established that the conditions for it are established, right? This is incumbent. Now there's some details as relates to the establishment of a condition and the establishment of that which it is a condition too. There's some details as relates to it that we don't want to get into it right now, so as to not to confuse the conversation, right? But in general, we know that if the conditions for the prayer are missing, then the prayer will not be established. You can't establish it. Even if you do it, it doesn't count. Right? So if the conditions for La ilaha illallah are not established, then what? It doesn't count. Doesn't count. Okay? Now, all of the conditions have to be established. All of them, without exception. To remember what the conditions are, Imam bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, he brought 2 lines of poetry that contain all of the conditions. He brought 2 lines of poetry that contain all of the conditions. And those conditions, they are 8 in total. The 2 lines of poetry which contain them all are علم يقين وإخلاص وصدقك مع محبة وانقيادا والقبول لها وزيد ثامنها الكفران منك بما سوى الإله من الأشياء قد أُلِّهَا. Knowledge, certainty, sincerity, and your truthfulness coupled with love, compliance, and acceptance for it. And an 8th is added to it, which is a disbelief which emanates from you for everything other than Allah that has been taken as an object of worship. So everything other than Allah that is worship, then we disbelieve in the legitimacy of the worship of that thing. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll come more to that and deal with that when we come to that condition, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. As a review, we have covered the first condition, which is knowledge, al-ilm. Naam. And it's the type of knowledge that negates jahl, the type of knowledge that negates ignorance. And we have covered the second condition, which is al-yaqeen. And yaqeen, certainty, is a type of certainty that negates doubt. The type of certainty that negates doubt. Shaykh Abdul Razak, hafidhullah ta'ala, he mentions that certainty, al-yaqeen, huwa tamamul ilm. That certainty is the completion of knowledge. That a person, he has complete knowledge, and thus makes, he's sure, he's certain. There's no ambiguity, he doesn't doubt it, but he's certain about it. That we have to be certain. So we have to have knowledge and the proper meaning of La ilaha illallah. We have to know what it points to. We have to know what are the prerequisites of it. We have to know what are the pillars of it. Now, this is incumbent that we know, and we know in such a manner that it negates ignorance. Whether that ignorance be the ignorance that is basit, the simple ignorance, in it that a person just doesn't know. And it must also negate jahl al-murakkab, that compounded ignorance. When a person doesn't know, and he doesn't know that he doesn't know. This is compounded ignorance. That a person knows something based upon other than its reality. So he has incorrect information about it. And they base their knowledge on that misinformation. So this equates to jahl, because it is wrong. Because knowledge is idraku shay ala ma huwa alayhi idrakan jaziman. It is to know something upon its true reality with decisive knowledge. This is what knowledge is, that we know something upon its reality in it decisively. No doubt about it. We know this is what it is. Now, but give me an example of to know something upon its reality. Is that if I were to hold this up right here, and for those who are not here, I'm holding up a mobile device. If I were to hold this up, you say this is a cell phone. Now, we know that this is we have knowledge of this upon its reality, because it's a cell phone. It's not a pager, right? It's not a calculator, although it has an app in it for that. Right? But it's not a motor, it's not an engine, it's a cell phone. and we know this is a cell phone. Do we have any doubt in that? No, we know decisively that's a cell phone. Right? That's a cell phone. But so we have knowledge. We have knowledge about its reality decisively. Now, if we were to say that this cell phone was, I don't know, a fan, right? Then this is Jahl Murakkab. Because we have information about it other than its reality. It's false, it's misinformation. So that's Jahl, that's ignorance, compounded. Or we held it up and they say, what is this? And they say, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Then we have Jahl Basir, because we don't know what it is. Jahl Basir. Now, and there are people in the world don't know what a cell phone is. Perhaps some people living in the Amazon, away from modern society. You come upon them, they never see nobody look like you, nor what you're carrying. Right? Cell phone included. So they wouldn't know. They was, I don't know what that is. What is that? Okay? So the knowledge that we have for La ilaha illallah, it has to be built upon sound information. And that sound information is Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah, Qala Sahaba. Allah said, the Prophet said, the Sahaba said. Na'am. Ma'rifatu shay bid-dalil, that we know something with its proofs and its evidences. And we have to know that in a manner that is certain. Right? But see, this is how it works with the conditions of La ilaha illallah. Is that they're all interconnected and we need them all. So if a person has established the first one, he has knowledge of it, right? The correct knowledge. And he has established the second one. He's certain about it. Then he must also establish the rest of them, but in particular, what the third in which we come to, which is what we're going to begin with tonight, and that is al-ikhlas. He has to be sincere. Now, you see, it's not enough to know the proper meaning. Because if a person were to say, are there kuffar out there who know the proper meaning of La ilaha illallah? Then the answer will be, Wallahu a'la wa a'lam. Na'am, yes. There are people out there, perhaps there's a professor, Middle Eastern Studies, professor of comparative religion, so on and so forth, kafir, right? It could be Catholic, Buddhist, whatever, a Gnostic, whatever the case is. But he may have studied, he may have read a book that contain the proper meaning for La ilaha illallah. So he knows what the meaning is, right? And he can know that decisively. He knows, well, this is the correct meaning because based upon the Islamic textual proofs, this is what points to what the meaning is. He may know that, right? And he may be certain that that's what it means. He may be certain. He may come and make, like I said, comparative religion. He may come and say, well, some of the Sunnis say this, and some of the other ones say that, and some of them say this, but what's correct and more textually accurate is this. He may know that, and he may be certain about this is what it means, right? And in his class, he may say it. In his class, he may say, La ilaha illallah, when he's teaching the people, right? But if he's not sincere when he says that, meaning if he's not saying that sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking the pleasure of Allah, it don't count. If he says it, but he doesn't accept it, he doesn't accept what it points to, he doesn't believe in it, meaning he doesn't accept that belief in his heart, it don't count. Even though he knows what it means, he's certain about what it means, but he doesn't accept it, he doesn't say it sincerely. Right? He doesn't love it. Right? He's not in compliance to it. Right? So on and so forth with the other conditions. If he doesn't bring all the conditions, it doesn't benefit him. Doesn't benefit him. So if an individual says La ilaha illallah, but he doesn't say it sincerely, he can know what it means, he can be certain about the meaning. But if he does not say it, or she does not say it sincerely for Allah, this is what it means here, ikhlas, that they say it sincerely for Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it will not count. It will not count for that person. Now, the Shaykh, he mentions, he says, الثالث من شروطها, that thirdly from its conditions, إخلاص المنافي للشرك والرياء, is that it is sincerity which negates shirk, it negates the associating of partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it negates showing off. it negates showing off. كما قال تعالى, as Allah Ta'ala He says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And they were not commanded except to worship Allah alone, making all of their religion sincerely unto Him. Naam, Surah Al-Bayyinah, verse number 5. But we have to, all of our religion, all the totality of our religion has to be sincerely unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, at the head of that, the head of the deen is the what? The shahada. How a person become Muslim? First and foremost by saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So all of our religion, from the beginning to the end, all of it must be sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala, He teaches us this clearly inside the Quran, that everyone can know and understand, as we find here in this verse. And also Allah Ta'ala, He says in Surah Az-Zumar, verse number 3, قال الله تعالى ألا لله الدين الخالص. Does it not except belong to Allah, all of the religion, and it's sincerely for Him? Naam, bala, bala. Naam, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of the religion sincerely unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing else is accepted. So, remember, we want to make a summary of the proofs and the evidences. Naam, one ayah, one hadith. These are the ayat that you can choose from. As relates to the hadith, وفي الصحيح عن نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال أسعد الناس بشفاعتي يوم القيامة من قال لا إله إلا الله خالصا من قلبه. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that the happiest of the people with my intercession, who will be granted my intercession on the day of judgment, will be the one who says La ilaha illallah. Did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stop there? Those who just say La ilaha illallah? No, but he went on and he said what? Khalisan. They say it sincerely. Khalisan, sincerely min qalbi, from his heart. فاشترط عليه الصلاة والسلام الإخلاص. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stipulated ikhlas, that it has to be sincere. It has to be sincere for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أن تكون نابعة من قلب أو من قلب مخلص لله. It has to be said from a heart. How would you say that the ikhlas, that the origin place of the ikhlas, it must emanate with ikhlas that emanates from a person's heart. That a person, he says La ilaha illallah with sincerity that emanates from his heart. This is where it is, that he's saying it sincerely. وَلَمْ يُرِدْ بِهَذِهِ الْكَلِمَةِ بِأَعْمَالِ الدِّينِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. And he does not intend by way of this kalima, وَبِأَعْمَالِ الدِّينِ, nor with the actions of the religion, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. خالصا, he says it sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the only way that it will benefit an individual. Naam, as Allah ta'ala, he says in the aforementioned ayah, أَلَا لِلَّهِ الدِّينُ الْخَالِصِ. Does it not except belong to Allah, all of the religion truly sincerely for Him only? Naam, al-khalis, al-khalis, right? Sincere. The meaning of it, وَمَعْنَا هُوَ الصَّافِي. Now, something that is pure, النَّقِيُّ, something something that is pure, unadulterated. Now, صَافِي is pure, unadulterated. Right? You'll say that, like, for example, the honey, the asal is صَافِي. The honey is pure, it's unadulterated, it has no foreign objects in it. It's honey that has gone through the process of removing the impurities and the foreign elements from it. It's purified. It's pure, right? So you say this honey is صافي. There's nothing in it but honey. It's just honey. Naam. So khalis, that he has to do it sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is unadulterated. There is no impurities in it. There is nothing that is mixed therein. Now the Shaykh, he says, الَّذِي لَيْسَ فِيهِ شَائِبَةً. There is not anything that will adulterate it. Yani shirkin or riya'an or nahwu dhalik. There is no shirk. A person doesn't say it associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he says it, he doesn't say it showing off and that which is similar to it. Now, give an example. A real life example. We may have heard of or even known of individuals in this predicament, right? And of course, we're speaking about what is zahir. We don't know what's inside of a person's heart. Allah knows what's in their heart. But how many individuals have taken their shahada just to marry a woman? Right? You may have heard of situations like this. Person takes a shahada just to marry a woman. Now, we're saying that based upon what is apparent. What's in the person's heart, Allahu A'lam. Again, we're talking in general, not about anybody specific. But there have been individuals who have been known to take the shahada, they get married, and then after that, you really don't see any traces of Islam upon the person. Individuals, for example, who still will take their mother to church on Mother's Day. Right? No traces of Islam upon the person. No trace of Islam upon a person. To the point where people ask, is he even Muslim? And the response is, well, he took his shahada before they got married. Right? And that's all we know. And that's it. Now, conceptually now, dealing with the concept, if an individual took his shahada just to marry a sister, or a woman took her shahada just to marry a man, would that shahada count for them? No. Because they didn't do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did it for what? To marry somebody. Right? Just like, give you another example. The hypocrites. The hypocrites, they took shahada. Why? So they can hold on to their wealth. Some of them took shahada so that they won't be fought against. They can hold on to their dunya. So they took just shahada seeking what? By way of the kalima, to hold on to the dunya, to gain some dunya. They didn't say it they didn't say it sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though they may have known the meaning. Yeah, they may have known what it means inside and out, certain about, yes, this is exactly what it means, and so on and so forth. But their main objective in taking their shahada was to hold on to their wealth, to hold on to their status, to hold on to their leadership, or whatever the case is, but to hold on to something of the dunya. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about anything outside of that. Why? Because they didn't believe in it. They didn't believe in it. So for them, it was just a means toward an end. That was it. So, would a shahada benefit such an individual? No, will not benefit. Not at all. Na'am. So it is incumbent and it is a must that we know that what? That it is a must that we are sincere, that we say the shahada sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. We're not seeking in it to show off. We're not seeking in it any type of worldly gain or anything of that nature. And we're not associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while we saying the shahada, because that will negate what the shahada points to. We're saying the shahada, and then we turn around and pray to this thing and this person and that personality and so on and so forth. This will negate the meaning of the shahada and that which it points to. So then it's not going to count. It's not going to count. Now, wait. The Shaykh goes on and he says, وَفِي مَعْنَى الْخَالِص لُغَةً تَأَمَّلْ. And with regards to the meaning of sincerity or solely inside of the language, then reflect over the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرًا. That verily you have for you inside of the animals a lesson. نعم. نسقيكم مما في بطونه. We give you drink from that which is in its stomach. من بين فرث ودم لبنا خالصا سائغا للشاربين. That we give you from that which emanates from his stomach, that which emanates from the stomach, from between the it travels between the excrement and the blood, and it comes out pure milk. It comes out pure milk, right? So if we want to understand the concept of purity, then look at purity as relates here, as relates to the milk. When the milk, when the milk leaves the udder, right? Does that milk have in it any type of blood? Any blood in that milk? No. Any type of excrement or any other thing in that milk? Not at all. Right? Any type of excretions or anything inside of that milk? Not at all. It comes out pure milk that is palatable for those who drink it. Pure milk that is palatable, and we can drink it. It's suitable for human consumption. Contrary to what the Food and Drug Administration will have you believe about unpasteurized milk. Right? Ala kulli hal, it's suitable for human consumption. It's pure. So this gives us a good understanding of the concept that it's pure. There's nothing in it. There's no milk in it. I mean, there's no blood inside the milk. There's no excretions inside the milk. It's milk. Right? Pure milk. Pure milk. So when we say La ilaha illallah, it has to be khalisan, safiyan, naqiyan. It has to be pure, unadulterated, nothing mixed with it. Laysa fihi sha'iba. It has in it no foreign elements, just like that milk. It's pure. No foreign elements are contained therein, from blood, nor from any type of excretions and the like, and excrement and the like. None of that is there. Pure milk. مع أنه يخرج من بين فرث ودم. Even though the milk it comes out from between the excretions, and it comes out between the blood, it comes out pure. ولكنه يخرج في غاية الصفاء من غاية الصفاء. It comes out with the epitome of pureness, of cleanness and pureness. تمام النقاء. It comes out with no foreign elements in it. No foreign elements in it. Just milk. Just milk. فالإخلاص العبادة لله. So إخلاص, which is translated as a lot of times as sincerity, right? But we also understand when we hear the explanation what purity as well, right? Something that is pure. There's no contaminants. It's not mixed, right? So when it comes to, we say, having this concept, having this ikhlas, that the ibadah is purely, solely, only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's only for Allah Rabbil Alameen, the Lord of all that exists. And تكون العبادة صافيا نقيا, that our worship has to be pure. No outside elements or agendas mixed in while we worshiping. It's for Allah and Allah only. Fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah, only for Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah, seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lam yurad biha, or lam yurad biha, a person he does not intend, or it is not intended with it, illallah, except for Allah azza wa jal. فإذا جعل مع الله عز وجل غيره في العبادة خرجت عن هذه الصفاء. So if other than Allah is intended with this worship, then it goes away from this purity. It loses this purity. It loses this lack of contamination. فَلَا تُقْبَلْ. So thus is not accepted. Thus is not accepted. And the proof of this is Allah Ta'ala's statement as it comes in the hadith that is Qudsi, where Allah Ta'ala, He says, أَنَا أَغْنَى شُرَكَائِ عَنِ الشِّرْكِ مَنْ عَمِلَ عَمَلًا أَشْرَكَ فِيهِ مَعِي غَيْرِي تَرَكْتُهُ وَشِرْكَهُ. Allah Ta'ala, He says that I am the one who is most independent, not in need of any associates. So whoever does an action and associates with me in that action other than me, then I have left him and that which he has associated. Naam, that I have left him and that which he has associated as a partner with me. Naam. In this hadith, akhrajahu Muslim. And the aforementioned hadith, As'adun Nas bi shafa'ati, this particular hadith, that the most happy of the people with my intercession, this hadith, akhrajahu al-Bukhari. And both of these narrations are on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. فالإخلاص محله ومنبعه القلب. So ikhlas, the origin of it and that place in which it emanates from is the heart. And then it says وَلِهَذَا قَالَ الْمُصَنِّفِ رَحِمَهُ اللَّهِ. Then it has, and the author said, right? The author said. This is what it has next. This is what it has here in the Arabic. What does it say in the translation? So sincerity is places the heart.
Sincerely from his heart.
Right. And then but the statement I'm looking for, it says, وَلِهَذَا قَالَ الْمُصَنِّفِ. And for this reason, the author said. Does it have that?
The basic source of sincerity is the heart.
So the author said, right? Right. That's a mistake. I want you to. This is a mistake, and see what happened. Wallahu a'lam wa a'lam. But a lot of these books by Sheikh Abdul Razak were actually classes that were transcribed. Right? Now, as relates to this particular book, I'm not 100% sure that this was the case, but this seems like it was the case. It seems like it was the case, right? And, predominantly, it comes in my mind, this was the case. Because here, this was a slip of the tongue. He says, وَقَالَ الْمُصَنِّفِ, that the author said. This was a slip of the tongue. And this was a printing mistake, a slip of the tongue, or a mistake in the print. Right? Now, because I didn't hear the class, if this in fact was the case, I can't say which of the two it was, but it was either the probabilities, a slip of the tongue, or this was a mistake of the publisher. Right? A mistake that the translator did not catch. And this is why it's very important, one, to learn Arabic, right? One, to learn Arabic, so we don't have to rely on translators. But two, also to realize that we can't take our knowledge from books. Books help us in gaining knowledge, no doubt. But we cannot take our knowledge solely from books, but we have to connect with the ulama. Right? We have to connect with the ulama. Because the students who are in class, wallahu a'lam wa a'lam, right? And I'm saying this because they're better than me. If I caught it and picked up on it and realized that was a slip of the tongue, that's not what he really meant, then I know they caught it. And I've sat in class with those brothers many years, many times I should say, I sat in class with those brothers many times over the years, and those students generally are very sharp, they're very smart and intelligent individuals. So they sat there and this, in fact, was a class that was said, and I know they understood the meaning. Why? Because the phrase in which is mentioned is from the hadith. خَالِصًا مِنْ قَلْبِهِ. This statement, sincerely from his heart, is from where? It's from the hadith of Abu Hurairah. It's not from the statement of the author. That's a statement of the Prophet ﷺ. Right? Going back to the hadith, what? أَسْعَدُ النَّاسِ بِشِفَاعَةِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مَنْ قَالَ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. And what the shahid is what? خَالِصًا مِنْ قَلْبِهِ. Sincerely from his heart. That the happiest of the people on the day of judgment, then there are those who, with my intercession, will be those who say La ilaha illallah khalisan min qalbi. Sincerely from his heart. That's a statement of who? The Prophet ﷺ. It's not the statement of Imam bin Baz. Imam bin Baz is the author. But the owner of this statement is who? The Prophet ﷺ. So this is a mistake in either the publisher from the printing mistake or a slip of the tongue, right? And the Shaykh is excused from this because, I mean, you know, we make slips of the tongues all the time. You understand what I'm saying? We make slip of the tongue all the time. And but when you're in the conversation, it is known what is intended. Right? Anybody who talked to me, you know, I make slip of the tongue all the time. I say, you know, okay, that's not what you meant. Because you did like 2 seconds before that, you said the opposite. So I know you meant to say this, but then you said that. Or what, you were talking too fast and you ate some words, you ate some letters, and, you know, so it didn't come out right, but I get it. You missed a couple words in there. Right? We all do it, correct? Yeah? So anyway, this is just, Danny, again, another example was point you, and this is really, Danny, the things I want to draw, you know, really to draw home is that what? The importance of learning the Arabic language, separating yourselves from the translators and translations. Right? It's very important. 2, you cannot take your knowledge from books only. Right? You must utilize books as a tool. They're an aid, they're a source, they're a resource in seeking knowledge. But that's not the whole of the affair. You just use them as a resource, a tool. It helps you, an aid. But you have to take your knowledge from the ulama. You have to take your knowledge from the ulama. Because from the benefits of taking your knowledge from the ulama is that you will be of those who are memorizing the Quran and memorizing what? The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And when you're memorizing and going through the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and paying attention, when the likes of these things come up, you will know. خَالِصًا مِنْ قَلْبِ. Oh, that's been the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. That's from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you will know. No, that's not a statement of Imam bin Baz. It's a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The hadith is right there. Is it not? Couple page before, how many pages before is the hadith inside the translation? Huh? Page before it, right? All right, it's right there. Khalas, it's not, it's not rocket science, right? Okay. But it stresses the importance of memorizing. You have to memorize, right? You have to memorize, because just like books are a tool that aid us in the seeking of knowledge, memorizing is a tool that aids us in the seeking of knowledge. Because the goal of seeking knowledge is to implement, right? In order to implement correctly, you have to understand. So what helps you? What are some of those things that help you understand? Of course, books is going to help you understand, right? Arabic language helps you understand. Knowing the usuls help you understand. Knowing the rules and regulations, all this stuff, it helps you understand. Likewise, memorizing, it helps you and aids you to understand, because you can memorize it, you contemplate, right? It's easy to contemplate on something when you're walking around with it all the time, because you memorize it. Alhamdulillah. Right? So memorizing, it helps you. It's not the goal. It helps you understand. Understanding is not the goal. The goal is to implement. The goal is implementation. You implement correctly. Of course, when you gain the correct knowledge and understand that knowledge correctly, now you can do it right. But the goal is to do it. And this is very important. The goal is to do it, is to put this into practice. That is the goal. Not just to memorize, say, okay, I memorize. No, I mean, what that mean? Right? Donkeys can carry books. Correct? But still a donkey at the end of the day, because it don't benefit him. Doesn't benefit him. So the goal is to do, is to implement. Right? The goal is to implement. Right? Now, and too, I don't want anyone to think that we're poking at the translator. No, it's an honest mistake. He translate what he saw. You know, it's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake. So we're not. I don't want anyone to say, "Oh man, he bashed that translator." No, I don't even know who translated the book. To be honest with you. So it's not a knock on the translator at all. It's not a knock on the translator. He translated what he saw. It's not a knock on him. It's not a knock on anybody involved. If it's a publishing mistake, hey, these things happen. That's why you can't rely solely on books. These things happen. Right? So, anyway, the next point, the next condition, the fourth condition, the fourthly, من شروطها الصدق المنافي للكذب, is truthfulness which negates lying. Right? Truthfulness which negates lying. Now, when you can see this one and you compare it to sincerity, you see the interconnection. Right? You see the interconnection. But when you reflect on the precision on how this was explained inside of the book and the sunnah, you see the great care and attention that was put in so that the Muslims could know exactly what is needed to establish it, right? Because yes, you have to say sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the same time it has to be from sidq, that you have to truthfully believe it. Right? You have to truthfully believe it. And you see the connection. Because a person may come and they say, well, isn't that kind of like taken care of if you say it sincerely? Maybe, but not necessarily. Right? Because a person may say it sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he really don't believe it. Correctly? He really don't believe it. Right? Meaning that they can say it and they mean it, but they don't believe it. So you still have to believe it. Right? I'll give you an example. How many times a person will come and he'll tell you something, and you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. Right? He'll come and he'll say, and they make a mistake or something. Right? Or they say something that was wrong, or they did something that was wrong. And they say, you know what? I really was trying to do the right thing. Right? Now, did the person do the right thing? No. Are you co-signing what the person did? No. Do you agree what he did? No. But you may tell him something like, I truly believe you believe that. Right? I believe you believe that. Although I totally disbelieve in the outcome of what you did. I don't agree with what you did in any which way, shape, or form. But I believe you believe that. You really thought you was doing the right thing, but I don't believe you did. Right? So your acknowledgement that he believed he was doing the right thing doesn't translate that you believe he did the right thing. You understand what I'm saying? So all aspects are taken care of and all doors are closed. So yes, you have to say it sincerely, no doubt. But you have to believe in what you're saying, no doubt. You have to say it only for Allah, but you have to believe in it. And you have to believe in what it points to. You have to believe in it, and you have to believe in what it points to. The type of belief that negates what? It negates lying. Naam. بأن يقولها, the Shaykh says, بأن يقولها صادقا من قلبه, that he says it sincerely from his heart. He says it sincerely from his heart. He really believes it. I'm sorry, not sincerely from his heart. You see the slipping tongue? We just been talking about that, right? First he say he didn't mean sincerely because we clearly talking about truthfulness, right? But he says it truly believing it in his heart. He truly believes it in his heart. He truly believes it in his heart. نعم. طيب كما في الحديث, like it comes in the hadith عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال, as it comes in the hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, that he said, ما من أحد يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله صدقا من قلبه إلا حرمه الله عليه النار. حديث صحيح من حديث أنس أخرجه البخاري ومسلم, حديث متفق عليه. This authentic hadith narrated on authority of Anas, collected by Bukhari and Muslim, hadith agreed upon. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, there is no one who testifies and bear witness that nothing has the right to be worshipped in truth except Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, truthfully from his heart. Sidqan min qalbi, truthfully from his heart, except that Allah will make haram for that person the fire. He make the fire haram upon that person. Naam. فاشترط عليه الصلاة والسلام صدق في هذه الكلمة. So the Prophet ﷺ, he stipulated and made a condition that it has to say it truthfully from his heart, that the person truly believes in it. He truly believes in it. نعم. والصدق فيها أن يكون ما يقول بلسانه ينطوي عليه قلبه. And truthfulness in it means that which his tongue is saying, it comprises his heart, that his heart comprises from it, that it emanates and it comes out from his heart, and his heart comprises this belief. His heart comprises this belief. نعم. وأما إذا كان يقول بلسانه ولا يعتقد مدلولها بقلبه فهو المنافق. So, but if he says it with his tongue, but he doesn't believe in that which it points to, then this is a hypocrite. He says it with his tongue, but in his heart he doesn't believe in it. Right? So again, he says it with his tongue, but in his heart he doesn't believe in it. So this is a hypocrite. So the hadith you got, right? So for this section you got your one hadith, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says about the hypocrites, Allah ta'ala says about the hypocrites in Surah Al-Munafiqun, in the first ayah, إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ, when the hypocrites come to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, نعم, قالوا, they say, نشهد إنك لرسول الله, they say, we testify that verily indeed you are the messenger of Allah. This is what the hypocrites, they say with their tongues. So did the hypocrites say the shahada? Yes. No, they said it. They said it. But did they believe in it? No. When they said it, did they say it truthfully? No. And Allah Ta'ala shows us this, how you have to say it truthfully in the ayah. But now, this is the exercise. I'm going to say the rest of the ayah. I want you to show me what part of the ayah shows us that you have to say it truthfully in order for it to benefit. Right? I'm going to say the rest of the ayah, but I want you to show me and to tell me, explain to me, what part of the ayah shows us that in order for us to benefit, it has to be said truthfully. Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُهُ, and Allah knows that verily indeed you are His messenger. وَاللَّهُ يَشْهَدُ إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَكَاذِبُونَ, but Allah testifies that verily the hypocrites are indeed liars. They are indeed liars. Nah? So which part of the ayah shows us that you have to be truthful when you say it? No, not when he testified against it. The hypocrites, yeah. Think simply. Think.
They say they believe.
You're close, but what? It's very simple. It's a very simple answer. It's what the answer they say is right. It's right under your nose.
They don't actualize the belief.
Think of what we're talking about. What we looking for? A truthfulness, right? Okay. Look in the ayah with that word in mind. Truthfulness. The first one. Huh? Ahsant. Allah calls them liars. So if they're liars, that means they're what? Not truthful. Because they're liars. So Allah says, verily they are liars. They're not truthful. So what part of it? So what part of it shows that what? That it doesn't benefit them? Huh? Again, it's a very simple answer.
Indeed, they are liars.
Indeed, they are liars, but what part shows that it doesn't benefit them? Is that they are that they're hypocrites. They say La ilaha illallah. Okay, a person that testifies and says a shahada, wa ahsant. Now, one of the listeners online, they got it correct. Ahsant. But when a person says the shahada and it benefits him, that person is what? Huh? These are mad simple answers. But sometimes, we overcomplicate it. So I'm just reminding, just keep it simple. When a person says the shahada and it benefits them, that person is what? Or becomes what? A believer. No, when they say the shahada and it benefits them, they become Muslim. They become a believer. But the mere fact that Allah Ta'ala calls these people, what does He call the people in these ayah? Liars. What's the other thing though? Hypocrites. Allah calls them hypocrites. So He calls them hypocrites, shows that what? They're saying the shahada doesn't benefit them. Why? Because they're hypocrites.
They don't sincerely believe it in their heart.
Right. They don't sincerely believe in their heart because they are liars. And the hypocrites are what? Kuffar. So if truthfulness is not there, then the shahada doesn't benefit. What's the proof? This ayah is that you have people that say the shahada, but Allah says they're hypocrites. Allah says they're liars. It don't benefit them because they're not truthful, because they're liars. That makes sense? So it has to emanate from a heart that truly believes in it. It has to emanate from a heart that truly believes in it. The Shaykh goes on and he says, كاذبون. They're liars. في أن ما قالوا. They're liars in what they say بألسنتهم, with their tongues. ولا يتقدونه في قلوبهم. But they don't believe it in their hearts. They don't believe it in their hearts. So them saying it with their tongue doesn't mean anything. Why? They don't believe it in their hearts. They say it with their tongue is a lie. Because why? When a person says something upon his tongue, the person makes a testimony upon his tongue, this gives the apparent impression that they believe in it, that they truly believe in it. But the fact that they saying something that they don't believe in shows that they're liars. Right? They're liars, right? Correct?
They may appear outward manifestly.
It comes off like it's true, but they're lying.
There's no actualization and implementation with it.
Exactly.
They say it with their tongue, but they ain't putting it into action.
They ain't putting in their actions. Right? If a person asks you,
faking the front.
They're faking it. They're faking the front. Right? If a person asks you, like your wife may ask you, is my dress pretty? You say yes. It's very pretty. Right? Yeah, we know it's permissible to do these type of things with the spouse. Right? You say yes, it's very pretty. But inside, in your heart, you say, man, that's the ugliest flower pattern I've ever seen in my life. It's pretty. Think I should wear it? No. Not this time. Wear the other one. Right? Because in your heart, you're like, man, that thing is ugly. What kind of flowers is that? Right? Yeah. That's a good dress to clean up in. Right? We get it, right? They saying something with their tongue, they don't believe in their heart. So this is what they're lying, right? So they're liars. So in order to benefit from the kalima of La ilaha illallah, that person has to say it, and he has to truly believe in what it means. He has to truly believe in what it points to. He has to truly believe in that which is necessitated by it, which goes back now, so we can see the interconnection between the conditions. It means what? He has to know what it means. He has to know what it points to. He has to know what is required from it, right? He has to know what is required from the kalima and muqtada, that which is necessitated by it. He has to know these things, so that what? So that he can come with that which is necessitated by it, so that he can implement, or she can implement that which it points to, so on and so forth, so that they could believe in their heart what it truly means. So all of these things are interconnected. So if you bring one by itself, but you don't bring the others, does it count? No. Right? And this is from those intricacies of how it relates to the conditions. Right? These are like little, little points I'm throwing out there now, inshallah ta'ala. When a person studies, goes further on in their studies, this may reflect back on this and say, okay, I see, this is what he was pointing to before, but didn't get into. Right? The establishing of just one of them doesn't necessitate or equate to the establishment, or that a person will benefit from La ilaha illallah. But they have to establish what? All of it, and then come with that which is necessitated by it, actualize it, implement it in order to benefit from it. But these conditions are key. It's all together, because this is something that you got to bring it all. You got to bring it all if you want it to count. Right? These are the riches of the key. You got to have all the riches there if you want that door to open. So this is very, very, very important, and it's very important that we study this well, and it's important. And please, if there's anything that's not clear, please ask for further clarity, because I feel, and I could be wrong, sometimes the verbiage and the wording doesn't necessarily translate for a lot of people. Right? Sometimes the wording doesn't necessarily translate for a lot of people, and I'm just saying it's based on experience and people that I have encountered over the years, and so on and so forth, and the questions that come. Right? Because when you start getting into, you have to be certain, and you have to have sincerity, and you have to be truthful, you have to have compliance, and so on and so forth. Those words sound good, right? But there's something just even based upon the language, somebody may not get it. But what do you mean by compliance? What do you mean by sincerity? Okay, sincerity, okay. And then we have truthfulness, okay. What do you call it? Acceptance, compliance, acceptance, truthfulness, sincerity. If you were to ask the common Muslims, when it comes to La ilaha illallah, explain to me the differences between those four, they may have a hard time. Because a lot of times, like I said, the way in which it's presented, it doesn't really translate into, okay, how is it connected to this kalima? And that's what we want to try to do. We want to try to understand, how is this condition connected to the establishment of this kalima, so you understand it correctly. Sincerely, no shirk. Person may say, of course, it's tawheed. I'm saying the kalima of tawheed because I don't intend shirk. But no, sincerely, that you're saying it only for Allah. You're not saying to get married. You're not saying to keep and hold on to your wealth. You're not saying it to, stay in power, whatever. You're not saying to show off. You're not saying just to be down. You're not saying it because it's your man's and them said it. But you're saying it sincerely. How many people go to jail, right? How many people go to jail and they take shahada? Why they take shahada? Because they want protection. Right? They want protection. That's it. That's their intention. What points to that? Once they get out. Once they get out, they back, no signs. They violate, get thrown back in jail, what happens? Brothers, I was off, I fell off my deen, man. I get back on my deen, man. Because why? They want protection. Right? A person in this type of situation, it don't benefit him. Why? Because he just wants protection by way of it. He's not saying it they truly believe it. He's saying it because now I'm back in a situation where I need to be with the Muslims, so nobody bother me. So it has to be sincere. And the person has to truly believe in what it points to. But in order to truly believe what it points to, they got to know what it points to. So this necessitates knowledge. That a person should take it upon himself and make it, his or her concern to learn about it. Because Sheikh Fawzan, he often says, كيف تؤمن بشيء تجهله? How can you believe in something that you are ignorant about? How can you? That's a profound question. How can you believe in something you don't know about? quite simply, you can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. You know. And then the Shaykh, he goes on to the next condition, which is love. A love that negates hatred. Because again, a person can say it knowing what it means, certain about the meaning, sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, truthful from his heart, but then hate what it points to. So then it doesn't benefit him. Right? A person says it, he establishes all of the first 4 conditions, but then he wishes that it was okay for him to pray to Isa. So he has a problem with what it points to. Does it benefit him? No way. Does it benefit him? But inshallah ta'ala, in the next coming class we will get more into that. فنكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.